Hello and welcome. You're with IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live conversation web television. This is a platform where all of you can take part. You can participate in the conversation even as it happens just by clicking on the participate button. You can also leave us your posts, your audio and video comments, and of course tweet us at #IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. And of course, we would love to hear from you, your thoughts on the topics that we talk about. Well, today is bound to be a very, very interesting conversation that we're going to get into right now. A book that was launched on Wednesday, Historic Temples in Pakistan, A Call to Conscience. And I'm very proud to say that I have with me the author of the book, Pakistani journalist Reema Abbasi. Thank you so much, Reema, for joining the conversation.
I'm honored.
Welcome to India Post Live.
Thank you very much.
We also have another renowned scholar and journalist, Javed Naqvi. Sir, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you. He has also written the foreword of the book. We are going to talk about that. It's a very interesting foreword, as you were telling us just some time back. We also have guests joining us online from Pakistan as well as other parts of India who want to talk about the book, and we're going to discuss a lot of other issues as well. Right now, I can see Shiraz. Shiraz joins us from Rawalpindi. He is a journalist. And Reema, you know him, right?
I have interacted with him when I was in Aman Ki Asha.
Okay, great. Yes. Hi Shiraz, welcome to India Post Live. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so first let's quickly take a look at an audiovisual on the book and then we'll get into the conversation.
Pakistan may be an Islamic state, but it still plays host to many famous Hindu temples. Right from Katas Raj in Sindh and Hinglaj in Balochistan to Panchmukhi Hanuman Temple in Karachi, these ancient historic temples have stood the test of time in Pakistan. Though Hindus form only 2% of Pakistan's population and one often hears about crimes being committed against minorities, these temples have remained largely unhurt. Contrary to popular belief, Hindus celebrate major festivals from Holi to Diwali with full vigor. Did you know that Karachi, Pakistan's economic capital, has almost 53 ancient and modern temples? Despite all our differences, Pakistan has kept the ancient emblems of faith alive. A welcome ray of hope for both sides to adopt a more pragmatic approach rather than fall prey to right-wing hawks.
Alright, so Reema Abbasi herself has said that the book is a journey towards pluralism, and we're going to talk to her more about this book. Reema, tell us what inspired you to embark on this journey?
I can't say it was a moment. I can only say that it was maybe a path in the making, and this is a culmination really. But the quest is on, of course. So it began with when I switched from dabbling in, you know, some aspects of showbiz and maybe culture and lifestyle writing as well. And then I moved on to the Herald magazine with the Dawn Group, where I did crime reporting, and I'd already started that at the News somewhat. News International belongs to the Jung Group of newspapers. And then after the Herald, I came into Dawn paper, and I was with the editorial, writing editorials, and had a column of my own. So those columns somehow always, you know, took me towards socio-political topics, and I then started a column with another column with Dawn also, where I would go looking for a thread that would bring in some sort of a secular angle to the story. Now that story could have been, you know, on Lataji, and I would find her bhajans maybe, and then bring them, sort of wind them, weave it into it, the whole thing somehow, and find some secular aspect or something of that sort. So उसी ढूंढने में कुछ ना कुछ बनता चला गया, and then I thought that, you know, we had some absolute jewels, and we are
architectural, historical jewels.
Absolutely,
yes.
And also for those, whether they believe it or not,
yes.
you know, they have a pull. They have an undeniable pull. Now, history itself has that pull. So, you know, you can say the energy is divine. The energy is also human, and the energy is also the energy of time.
Right.
So they had simply had to be documented.
And these buildings have withstood the travails of time, right?
They have withstood, you know, epochs and eras and time and time's cruelties and times, you know, time आपको सूरज भी बना देता है और आपको एक वो खंडर भी बना देता है, तो
right.
They would withstood everything. And
Javed sir, let me bring you in now. This book is, we are told, well, we all have to buy the book. Reema is very categorical about that, to see all those lovely pictures of women celebrating Holi, women in saris waiting for the moon to rise for Karwa Chauth. We all have to buy the book. But the book talks about unreported aspects of harmony, unreported aspects of secularism. What were your thoughts when you were writing the foreword of the book, sir?
See, I mean, I am sufficiently subversive on my own, but when it comes to writing books about religion or a foreword, like as I did, and I found it in it an opportunity to question the axioms that underscore some of these endeavors. And I have asked very affectionately and with a lot of love that I have for Reema, what was the purpose of this book? Because you see, while there are great architects and great people of faith who go on and build these fancy monuments like mandirs and masjids and synagogues, there are also those alongside who question these things. For example, in our country, you have the tradition of Kabir and Bulle Shah, and they say, what is the relevance of all this? If God or Ishwar or Vaheguru or Allah is in your heart, so, and Kabir of course puts it a little more starkly. He says, Tera साईं तुझ में जू पहुपन में बास, कस्तूरी का मृग जो फिर ढूंढे घास. तो कह रहा है कि your God is in your own heart. And you are like that silly musk deer that is going around roaming, looking for where this beautiful fragrance is emanating from.
Yes.
So I think these quests lead people to build monuments, and then other people come in a hegemonic way and they demolish those things. What I have argued in the foreword, or rather suggested to the readers, is that these monuments, while they last, they should be celebrated, because architecture are the part of human endeavor and industry and culture. But then we shouldn't get obsessed with that. You know, we shouldn't get obsessed. I mean, somebody's obsession is the Taj Mahal is there. You know, it's there while it's there. It was a king who made it out of love and affection, and we have a lot of celebration. The Sahir Ludhianvi said just the opposite. His view about the Taj is very different from what the other view is. एक ने कहा कि एक शहंशाह ने बनवा के हंसी ताज महल सारी दुनिया को मोहब्बत की निशानी दी है, और दूसरे ने कहा कि एक शहंशाह ने बनवा ये हंसी ये मनक्कश दरो दीवार, ये मेहराब, ये ताक, एक शहंशाह ने दौलत का सहारा लेकर हम गरीबों की मोहब्बत का उड़ाया है मजाक. That on the one hand, one king has left us a legacy of love and a symbol of love. The other fellow says that he is mocking the poor man's love because the poor man cannot build the Taj Mahal. So these people who build these monuments, either out of faith or whatever, are lacking the trick that Kabir was trying to promote, that you don't have to go that far. You know, just feel the God within you and you should be okay with that. So I like Rima's book for the architectural beauty, but not necessarily for all the faith and the culture that she wants to put inside.
But wouldn't you say, and let me, I would like to bring in my online guests here, wouldn't you say that the fact that two Pakistani women, Rima Abbasi and Madeh Ijaz, she was the photographer, right?
She's done the photography. Absolutely fabulous photography.
400 photographs in that book.
More than 400.
More than 400. Now, two Pakistani women have embarked on this journey to document Hindu temples in Pakistan at a time when we hear reports of, you know, the fact that the Hindus are in minority there, the attacks, the razing down of temples and all of that. So that seems to be, you know, quite an achievement.
My friend Rima was telling me that it's the Muslims who are under attack. It is their khanqahs, in masjids, in Saudi Arabia. In Mosul, what is happening? There are no temples being demolished. It's the mosques, it is the prayer people, congregations, places that are being attacked and demolished. It's no Hindus in Iraq, no Hindus in Saudi Arabia. They're demolishing these things as always does. Anybody does it out of hegemony. So and Hindus don't threaten the hegemony of anybody, but the Shias do in Pakistan. Like the Muslims are a big minority, so they threaten the establishment. You see, in the sense that they question the axioms of a religious state there. The Hindus are okay with their own beliefs, but the Shias are the ones who are actually, what is happening is, I think, is that in this discourse we are leaving out one very important component that is most threatened, and that is the non-believer. You know, and I would like you to come to that, because they are the ones who have gone and become either Shia or Hindu lovers or something like that. In India, very much the same thing has happened. Where have the communists gone? Where have the atheists gone? Do we celebrate that? We don't.
All right, let me bring in my online guest now. Shiraz joins us from Pakistan, from Rawalpindi. Shiraz, welcome. And what are your thoughts about this book itself? You know, the fact that Hindu temples in Pakistan have been celebrated, have been documented in her work, in Rima Abbasi's work.
First of all, hi to everyone and congratulations to the Rima ji. I'm sorry that मैंने अभी तक किताब देखी नहीं है. किताब देखकर मुझे अंदाजा हो सकता है कि ये इसमें इन्होंने किस एंगल से और क्या चीजें इन्होंने प्रेजेंट की हैं, लेकिन बज़ाहिर ऐसा लग रहा है कि इसमें काफी ये कलरफुल किताब होगी और जिसमें बहुत सारी पिक्चर्स, इमेजेस और जो हिंदू सेलिब्रेशंस इन टेम्पल्स में होती हैं. पर इसमें कुछ थोड़ी सी बात हिंदू टेम्पल्स के हवाले से करना चाहूँगा पाकिस्तान में. तो मैं इनको जो हिंदू टेम्पल्स हैं पाकिस्तान में, इनको मैं 3 कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड करता हूँ. एक तो वो टेम्पल्स जो एक्टिव हैं, जहाँ पर पूजा पाठ होती है. दूसरा वो जो कि अबंडेंट टेम्पल्स हैं, जो कि आप पूरे पाकिस्तान में नजर आएंगे, पूरे पंजाब में नजर आएंगे, जहाँ पर इस वक्त लोग घर की सूरत में रह रहे हैं, जो कि रेफ्यूज, जो कि इंडिया से मुस्लिम आए थे, उन्होंने वो बाय कर लिए. और तीसरी कैटेगरी वो है जो कि हिस्टोरिकल प्लेसेस हैं, जैसे कि कटास राज. तो जहाँ तक बात है एक्टिव टेम्पल्स की, मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर इन सिंध, के तकरीबन 90% पॉपुलेशन. तो मैंने जो जितना भी टेम्पल्स जो वो अपने किया, और पंजाब में अभी तक मैंने कोई बहुत बड़ा टेम्पल नहीं देखा, लेकिन मैंने होली, दिवाली की सेलिब्रेशन जो है वो मैंने कवर की है. बात बिल्कुल ठीक है कि कलरफुल सेलिब्रेशन जो है वो हमें शायद महसूस ही नहीं होता कि ऐसा हो सकता है पाकिस्तान में, लेकिन वो शायद मीडिया में इतना हाईलाइट नहीं होता. रिसेंटली मैंने कटास राज और रावलपिंडी में कृष्णा मंदिर में होली की सेलिब्रेशन जो हुई थी, तो मैंने BBC के लिए कवर की. तो उसका इतना
Okay, Shiraz. Okay, Shiraz, 1 second. Let me just bring Rima back here. He's saying that they themselves don't know about the Hindu celebrations, the Hindu festivals, the celebrations of Hindu festivals that happen in Pakistan. Less than 2% of Hindus there. 93%. In fact, we'll try and get you some graphics of how the Hindu population of Pakistan are divided. 93.3% in Sindh, 4% in Punjab, Balochistan has 1.6 and 0.29% in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. Okay, that's how it is spread across. All right, now in a situation like this, and this we are talking of 2% of the entire population.
Yeah, but this, I hate to say this, but this means nothing, okay? Because when you tell me about Balochistan and you talk about how much is it in Balochistan?
1.61.
1.61, right? So now when you talk about threatened people, and I think even women like Madhya and myself are probably leading the threatened community or whatnot.
Why?
When we were going around doing this in this guerrilla fashion, because we really had, we were not in some four-wheeler with like 3 security vans behind us or whatever. So in Balochistan, the most threatening part was the Baloch liberation movement, thugs hiding in the shrubs, and that is a terrain which does not allow the Pakistan flag. It wants to part ways, and there we were, and the only light that we had was our headlights and of a small car, and it was taking us through these jagged peaks wrapped around roads, wrapped around these really, scabrous mountainside. And हमारा जो वहाँ refuge था, वो Hinglaj था. You understand? So that was the sanctuary for Madhya and myself. And because when we were told that there's a rest house, you people can be park yourself there, and it's then a 15-minute drive to Hinglaj. And we went there, and because when you want gas and you want bijli and you want security and you want the people to kind of give you that sense of security as well, you need to fall under the country's flag. So when they are saying that this is not our flag and we don't want it, so they don't have the amenities that come with it, right? So when we are at that desolate 2-bedroom or whatnot rest house, it was a very threatening place to be, because we didn't like it. I mean, the 1 or 2 natives were there, and there was log fire, and we had to quickly sort of whip up an egg and have some kachi roti with it or whatever, because we had traveled all night. And then we decided that we will stay in Hinglaj, and it was very, very hot at that time. But Hinglaj was nice. It had a ravine, and all the nice trees and platforms.
Let me bring in Saz Agarwal. Saz joins us from Pune. She is a writer and a painter. Thank you so much for joining the conversation, and welcome to India Post Live. Is there something you want to ask Rima Abbasi regarding her book? And could you please unmute? Yes. Okay, we can hear you now. Tell me.
Hi Rima. Great to hear about your book, and I'm looking forward to reading it and waiting to see all the pictures. How long did it take you to write this book?
Well, if you include research and conceptualizing and finding a publisher and the process, then 2 years. And
wow.
Our travels took about a year.
And are these places still used for worship?
Absolutely. I mean, I will disagree with Shiraz when he says that there are 3 categories. No, there is just the category of a temple. And there is whether those temples double as just like our mazars would, or our mosques would, or you know, a church would. They double as many.
But you know, once again, the stories that we hear, the stories
centers
that we hear on this side of the border about families fleeing, fearing persecution, about forced conversions and forced marriages of Hindu girls, and also the land mafia, you know, where they are demolishing temples to, you know, create flyovers and all of that. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, these are reports that we read out here. So obviously, there is a gap. Yes,
I write about them also. So now you see, when it doesn't have to be a Hindu girl, right? You see, it's happening in the tribal belt all the time. It's an 8-year-old Muslim girl who's being sold off to a 65-year-old man. And you know, some of your feudal politicians are doing it. And I think Naqvi Saab knows I'm talking about very specific politicians. And you know, and they're doing that, and they're giving land in exchange to an impoverished family. They're giving lots of money. So I don't think that it is completely divorced from realities of the region, which is poverty and which is a sense of, you know, alienation or what have you, and that is not just about a community. When it comes to the right of a community, just like the Muslim community here, I am very, very averse to the term minorities, although our founder used it for the first time, I'm told. But anyway, coming back from that, because that actually does go a long way in eroding your political claim, shall we say, because that cuts down your job quota, and that puts your marriage certificates in jeopardy, and that sort of puts your women in a lot of, you know, whatnot. So I think that applies to Muslims here as well, and Christians and all that. I think just to isolate that and say that, you know, it's persecuted or whatnot, no, I think when it comes to hardliners, and let's not forget the war on the hardliners that the country is fighting right now, वो मेरी और आपकी जैसी ख़वातीन, वो मुस्लिम हो या ना हो, it doesn't matter. I think उनको भी उतना ही टारगेट करते हैं, और उन्होंने सबसे ज़्यादा तो मुसलमान मारे हैं. आर्ग्यू क्या कर रहे हैं हम?
Javed sir, what are your views on the Hindu persecution in Pakistan as we know of it?
No, as Reema was trying to say, and by trying to say, she's been asserting it, that there is no parity. The more Muslims are getting killed. If you look at the child abuse, it is happening among Muslims. It so happens that when it happens to a Hindu, it gets more publicity, which is a good thing. It gives them a little more protection, which they deserve. But I think what is happening in Pakistan is not very different from what is happening in India, in the sense that you hear about a Muslim boy who has been made to eat a roti during Ramzan, and the media has gone crazy.
Yes, crazy, of course.
But there are daily occurrences, virtually, the same things are happening to the Dalits. We don't get those in the headlines, you see. In India, the rape quotient, they are the ones who bear the brunt, the Dalit women. In India, and they don't make the headlines somehow. Who's doing it? Are the Hindus doing it to the Hindus? Are the Hindus doing it to the Dalits? Are the Muslims raping? So you will find that, you know, it's a very, very...
No, absolutely. Let me now bring in someone, Subhash. Subhash has recently been to Pakistan, and in fact he went to visit the temples in Pakistan, and he joins us on the phone line. Subhash, welcome to India Post Live. Can you hear me?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
On the line, please.
All right. Okay. Okay, Mr. Subhash, tell us about your experience of your visits of the temples in Pakistan.
It was really very nice, encouraging. Because when I could have a talk to the people who visited it quite long back, when for the first time you see the visit to Kitasaj was started with, they were telling the things were absolutely miserable at that time. Now a lot much of change has occurred and everybody feels, you see, quite comfortable that way. So at some places, the state has taken care of these, you can say, places of the minority of worship. And it was required to be taken to. But we feel it something else too in addition to it. In total, 428 places of worship have been identified by the Pakistan government, and out of that, 408 they have been let out to different commercial organizations or the educational organizations. Only 28 are in operation up to some extent, and 20 are really in operation. What I would like to put across is, no doubt, you see, it is not feasible to put every place of worship operational. Can we just identify a few which are more important from the religious point of view, which can be made operational?
All right.
For example, there is one Kaliwadi Mandir in, you can say, Dera Ismail Khan. And unfortunately, they say a hotel is working there. So it has got its own importance. Could we just look into these type of worship places which can be reconverted into the original shape?
Okay, so
number one.
Okay, all right.
And number two is, we had a visit to Kitasaj, and it was actually a cage-to-cage movement. From Wagah border to Lahore, and then we are put inside you can say, Gurdwara Sahib there, Dera Sahib there. From there to Kitasaj, and Kitasaj only 1.5 kilometers stretch from the place of the stay to worship place. That is what we could move. I think it would be more in the fitness of the things if people are allowed to have a man-to-man contact with each other. हमें थोड़ा सा घूमने का, फिरने का, लोगों के साथ बातचीत करने का मौका मिलता, it would have been much better. So would we just look into it?
So you're talking, okay, the fact that several temples are being converted to other commercial establishments, I think that is one problem.
Certainly.
And the second is if freer movement. Rima, would you like to comment on that?
Certainly I would like to make a comment. जब हम लाहौर में घूमते रहे ना, फिरते रहे, लोगों से मिलते रहे, हमें लोगों की ओर से बहुत ज्यादा अटैचमेंट मिली, प्यार मिला. और उन्होंने कभी भी हमें ये रियलाइज नहीं होने दिया कि हम बाहर से आए हुए हैं.
People to people, is a different ball game altogether. I'm sure, there are families that are torn apart, and families living on either sides of the border. Subhashji, thank you so much. Let me just address your points to Rima now. And Rima, what he was talking about temples that are being used for other commercial establishments. What have your experiences been?
My experience, actually, this was for me also. I actually discovered my country through this book, and I lived in my bubble, and I basically either saw what things as a journalist and as a reporter or as a columnist, or I had my bubble of whatever you want to call it.
It was a humbling experience in many ways, is it?
It was, and it was a very refreshing experience, and everything seemed so beautifully new, and I'm guilty of not whitewashing my country in this book, because I think Mr. Subhash said Dera Ismail Khan. Now that's in the Punjab, if I'm not wrong. DIK is in the Punjab, right? So that what you see is hell in Peshawar, right? I mean, you keep thinking, or what the news channels show is, it's up in flames, and it's up in all sort of mayhem, and there is gross sectarianism and, you know, communalism and all that, whatever. But no, I'm sorry, but Lahore actually was the saddest place to visit. It was the most painful place to visit, and Punjab was the most painful province for women and minorities. And
what do you hope to achieve with this book, Reema? What is the larger picture that you see? What your thought, your experience? Over 2 years you worked on this book.
Yeah.
You know, you are talking about pluralism. You're talking about, you know, demystifying a lot of myths that we
pluralism have. With this book. I mean, I mean, this is just a, you know, I'm not going to be unrealistic and say I'm going to be able to push this giant boulder up the, you know, Himalaya or whatever, get to the peak of K2 with it or whatever. That's pluralism right now. But no, that's not going to, that's not, it's certainly, you know, I hope that it's a small step. But the purpose hopefully is multi-layered, which is, you know, it goes from religious tourism to understanding each other's people, understanding the people and empowering them enough to, you know, feel that apnaiyat again, and to feel, you know, to be allowed basics of accessibility, because, you know, how many families crave to come here and, you know, go to Vaishno Devi and Kashi and Mathura and, you know, all that. How many? And they are in their 80s and they are miserable because they can't perform.
Accessibility is something that even Subhash talked about. Mr. Subhash talked about.
Accessibility, and also when it comes to Muslims, you know, I mean, they're pining for Ajmer and Kaliyar and you know, Nizamuddin, and
that's a wonderful point. Wonderful point.
I would like to interrupt this because I think it's she's trying to run away with the story. My view is on this that yes, the state has a duty to give protection to all the citizens equally,
absolutely,
which involves their places of worship. But it has no business whatsoever to build roads and bus services to enable it, because some of these temples are built in order to make it troublesome, like the Amarnath. You know, make it an ordeal, make it a journey, make it difficult for the people to. So why not just go in a helicopter or some air? So I think in any case, the state should stay away from facilitating what in my view is obscurantism, but in her cases it's faith. But how Indian state is subsidizing Hajj, for example, or the army is regulating the Amarnath Yatra, or the foreign ministry is regulating visas from China to let people go to Mansarovar. Same thing, I think, and so we should, as a secular state, and I think in Jinnah's version of state, I think Pakistan is also equally secular. So therefore, these countries should stay away. No other country does this.
Okay, let me bring in a video comment from Amir Mughal from Pakistan, and Amir has some thoughts and some comments on your book. Let's take a look at that first.
Pluralism and diversity is a beauty for any society, and to preserve this beauty, we Pakistani Muslims have a great responsibility to give proper attention to our heritage, particularly we have scores of temples, gurdwaras, churches, synagogues which are in bad shape. Therefore, we must preserve them to give our Hindu, Parsi, Sikhs and Christian citizen a sense of belonging, that they are also Pakistani citizens and they are also first-class citizens, not second-class citizens.
All right, so give everyone a sense of belonging. I think that's the general consensus that we have in this show. If I can just bring in my online guests to quickly, if they have any questions to ask Reema, I think, okay, we'll try and get them back. Okay, so let me now ask you, are you planning to do a similar endeavor on the Gurudwaras?
She needs to do something on mosques and
on mosques
because they are the ones that are being
they are the ones really under threat.
Yes.
No, this is the news point of this conversation. You're saying that mosques in Pakistan are being demolished.
Mosques are threatened.
देखिए वाकई ये समझिए इस बात को कि जो एक्सट्रीमिस्ट एलिमेंट है जो मतलब दोनों गवर्नमेंट्स जिसको चाहती हैं किल करना और हम भी चाहते हैं किल करना और इसीलिए वॉर हो रही है, वो उनका टारगेट हम हैं और अभी तक हम रहे हैं क्योंकि हम उनकी ब्रांड।
What do you mean by हम exactly?
हम चाहे आप उसको मुसलमान कह लें या हम उनके लिए मुसलमान भी नहीं हैं, क्योंकि जो उनका ब्रांड है इस्लाम का वो इस्लाम भी नहीं है। ये बहुत ज़रूरी है एक बिलीवर के लिए और मैं इसलिए नकवी साहब की तरफ देख रही हूँ।
नॉन बिलीवर
नहीं,
इसलिए मैं आपकी तरफ नहीं देख रहा हूँ।
नहीं, वो भी एक बिलीफ है। देखिए नॉन बिलीवर भी एक बिलीफ है और मैं नकवी साहब की तरफ इसलिए देख रही हूँ क्योंकि मैं बिल्कुल फेथ के इर्द गिर्द नहीं घूम रही हूँ। मैं ये कहना चाह रही हूँ कि जब आप बात करते हैं कि हार्ड लाइनर एंड ऑल दैट, जो उनका ब्रांड है वो इसलिए इस्लाम मेरी नज़र में नहीं है और अब पता नहीं क्या होगा कि ये कह दिया है अब मैंने कि
yeah, that is a very another point I wanted to raise. Have you been threatened by any of these hardliners for working on this kind of a book, you know, Hindu temples?
Not
You've
at
not
all.
got any
Not
negative,
at all.
any?
Not
okay.
at all.
Okay, that's good.
But I'll just complete my point,
sure.
which is कि जो असली जो इस्लाम जिसको वो नहीं करना चाहते ऑब्जर्व और वो अपना एक वो जो सॉर्ड लाके करना चाहते हैं, हेल फायर एंड ब्रिमस्टोन वाला, वो वाला इस्लाम करना चाहते हैं। तो इस्लाम इंश्राइंस इन सेक्युलरिज्म, एक उसका पहलू हर एंशिएंट रिलीजन का वो पहलू है और हर नॉन बिलीवर भी यही चाहता है। तो मेरा मतलब ये कि हर फेथ में वो है, जो एंशिएंट फेथ्स हैं। अगर आप इस बुक को प्योरली फेथ के नज़रिए से देखना चाहती हैं, जो कि प्लीज़ मत कीजिएगा, मगर अगर देखना चाहती हैं तो उसमें भी आप ये देखें कि हिंदुइज़्म, जूडाइज़्म हो, बुद्धिज़्म हो, इस्लाम हो, क्रिश्चियनिटी है, सब जितने एंशिएंट हैं उन वो सब जाके एक जगह मिल जाते हैं और उनकी बहुत सारी चीजें।
Let me bring in another online guest who's joining us from Mumbai, Chintan Modi. Chintan joins us from Mumbai.
Oh, he's a big part of the Aman Ki Asha page. He
Hi,
contributes.
Chintan. Can you hear me? Welcome to India Post Live, Chintan Modi. Please unmute your mic. Chintan, you need to unmute your mic first.
I have.
Hi.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, Chintan. Welcome. Welcome and
Thanks for having me back.
And what is your question for Rima Abbasi?
Yeah, congratulations on your book first of all.
Thank you.
I was in Karachi this April and I had the chance to visit the Ratneshwar Mahadev Mandir there.
Yes.
And it was a really special experience that I came back with because after all my trips to Pakistan, people have asked me, oh, are there really Hindu temples in Pakistan and do people actually worship there? So that was quite interesting. I also happened to celebrate Diwali once in Pakistan, and that was thanks to Shiraz, who took me to a celebration.
Yes, I read about that.
Yeah. But my question for you is more along the lines of the question of visa restrictions for people in India as well as Pakistan, especially when they're looking to go on a pilgrimage to the other country. Do you think as civil society we are doing enough to pressurize our governments to issue visas to people who want to go for pilgrimages?
That's exactly
and
what
these are old people.
said.
That's exactly what Javed Sahab was talking about. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was off the chat.
Yeah, that's
for
all right.
some
Yeah,
time.
that's okay. Yeah.
जी, जैसे जावेद साहब ने कहा था कि ऑफ कोर्स आई मीन उससे हमारा the whole visa situation is really, I mean, I think they should be able, like other countries, I mean, I think both countries can do a very clear-cut profiling of the person.
And there is a lot of mistrust, you know.
So much
accumulated over the decades.
मैं माफ़ कीजिएगा
जी,
मैंने वहाँ पे जैसे ये गए हैं अभी मंदिर होके आए, इन्होंने तो सारे झांक लिए हैं वहाँ के और वहाँ पे मैंने मलकानी जी को, बहुत अच्छे हमारे दोस्त थे, आरएसएस के ऑर्गेनाइज़र जो अखबार था उनका, उसके एडिटर थे, हम साथ साथ गए कटास राज। मैंने सुषमा स्वराज को वहाँ, जो आजकल विदेश मंत्री हैं हमारे मुल्क की, उनको वहाँ पे पूजा करते देखा, कटास राज साथ साथ गए थे हम। और उसी दौर में, उसी विजिट पे, मेरे ख्याल से बसंत का फेस्टिवल था लाहौर में, मैंने तो कम से कम याद है मुझे कि मैंने सुषमा स्वराज को छत पे जहाँ पे बसंत मनाई जाती है, पतंग उड़ाई जाती है, वहाँ पे भांगड़ा करते भी देखा मैंने, थोड़ा सा एक, हाँ, नाचते भी, खुश साथ में। तो एक तो वो एक लेवल पे ये चीज़ मेरे ख्याल से बहुत अच्छी है, लेकिन आप फिर वहीं जा रही हैं जहाँ मैं आपको रोकना चाह रहा हूँ। मैं कह रहा हूँ कि ये वीज़ा दे देंगे, और अगर ये हज का और इसका और अजमेर का और कटास राज का वीज़ा दे देंगे, लेकिन कहाँ डंडी कहाँ मार रहे हैं ये, वो ज़्यादा सीरियस चीज़ है कि इंटेलेक्चुअल्स नहीं आ पाएंगे एक दूसरे के यहाँ। जो खुले जहन के लोग हैं उन पे रोक है। वहाँ से पाकिस्तान से कोई प्रोफेसर आने के लिए होम मिनिस्ट्री का क्लियरेंस चाहिए हमको, पूजा करने के लिए आप चले जाइए। तो ये पूजा पाठ तो ये प्रमोट कर रहे हैं दोनों तरफ, लेकिन जो खुले जहन वाले लोग हैं जो सवाल कर सकते हैं सरकारों के बारे में, ये तो पूजा करने जा रहे हैं, ये तो दुआ करेंगे। हम दवा वाले लोग हैं, हम कह रहे हैं कि ये आपके यहाँ जो मिलिट्री शासन है ये गलत है या क्यों होता रहता है, आपके यहाँ जो है ये मजहबी तशद्दुद जो है हिंदुस्तान में ये क्यों होता रहता है। अगर लोग आके इस पे डिस्कशन करेंगे तो उनके वो वीज़े जो रोके जा रहे हैं, मेरे ख्याल से बहस का मकाम वो है, वरना पूजा पाठ के लिए वीज़े मिलेंगे। और मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये पूजा पाठ के साथ लिबरल खुले इंटेलेक्चुअल्स को भी वीज़े दिए जाएं, उसके लिए इकट्ठा मिल के लड़ें, ना कि अलग अलग।
Right. Shiraz, very quickly your comments on what Javed साहब just said.
हाँ बिल्कुल ऐसी बात है। एक बात तो ये है कि हमें थोड़ी सी जो रिलीजियस हम देखते हैं कि बहुत सारे सिख यात्री यहाँ पर आते हैं, तो उनमें कोई किसी किस्म का इश्यूज नहीं आता, हजारों की तादाद में आते हैं, दुनिया भर से आते हैं, कनाडा से, अमेरिका से, इंडिया से भी रिसेंटली भी आए हुए थे। तो क्या इस तरह हम कुछ, ये तो बात बिल्कुल ठीक है कि हम दोनों साइड पर इनकी बात है कि दोनों साइड पर हम थोड़ा सा रिलीजियस चीजें प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, लेकिन थोड़े इंटेलेक्चुअल्स को थोड़ी उनकी ये रिस्ट्रिक्शंस है, जर्नलिस्ट की रिस्ट्रिक्शंस है, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल में दरवाजा खोल जाता है ताकि एक डिबेट शुरू हो जाती है कि कम से कम हम वीजा लेने की बात कम से कम यहाँ से स्टार्ट की जा सकती है।
राइट। Okay, Saz Agarwal, let me ask you now that you've heard this entire conversation, not focusing only on the book, but the philosophy of religion in both the countries and how religion is practiced in both the countries. That was also, yeah.
There's too much emphasis on this book being about religion. It's not.
It is not. Yeah, it is not.
So please make that.
It is not. It is not. And you have made it very clear that it's not about religion. And it is about culture. It's about
history.
And history, exactly. It's about architecture. I mean, that's what I opened my the conversation with. It's about architecture, as far as I'm concerned. Ma'am, would you be buying the book and would you be visiting Pakistan to visit these temples?
I would love to visit Pakistan. There's a lot I'd like to see there.
Great.
I will definitely buy the book. But what I want to say is that we may identify ourselves as Hindus or Muslims. We may identify ourselves as Indians or Pakistani. But I think it's time now for us to start developing the concept of a South Asian culture.
Absolutely.
Because we are so very similar in so many ways. I mean, when we speak to each other, if someone speaks, I'm speaking, you don't know whether I'm Indian or whether I'm Pakistani.
No.
I think we need to create and build this concept that we are South Asians, so that at some level, we go as, and like Rima said, it's not about religion, it's about culture, it's about history, it's about a mutual identity. I really like that. I think we should do that. I think all of us need to start thinking of ourselves as South Asian, along with whatever other, minor identities we might have. I'd like to really contribute towards building this identity for us.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Saz Agarwal. And also Shiraz, thank you so much इस conversation पे आने के लिए. Chintan Modi, thank you so much for your thoughts and your suggestions on easier accessibility. Final comments from you, ma'am, before we wrap up the conversation.
Yeah, I'm just beholden to Ms. Agarwal for making that, reiterating that point. Yes. That let's please celebrate not just history but each other, and it's so important to it's really not about allowing people to come for pilgrimage. It's about just allowing people, because take my case now, all my family's here, whether it's my paternal side or my maternal side. So I would like so much access to my uncles and aunts and cousins, and my friends, my very, very dear friends are here. So there are people who have been torn apart. And both countries are talking about human rights all the time. Isn't visa an integral part of that right? Isn't this kind of emotional deprivation of bonds and all that, human bonds, isn't that part of the rights?
I hope both our governments are listening, and through India Post Live, they will take all our comments made by common citizens and made by intellectuals like both of you, and take them seriously. Javed Sahab, final comments before we wrap up.
If she were an intellectual, she wouldn't get a visa.
Oh, so that's how she's got this visa.
I'm press.
All right. Yeah. No, but you all have. You've also traveled to Pakistan, so you're also not an intellectual.
No. They give.
Achha, they give.
They call all kinds of janavars. We are the ones who are very scared.
Pakistan, particularly. Sorry, I'm not being biased.
All right. So celebrating pluralism and celebrating each other, that is the common, philosophy of the book.
And make it a human right.
And make it a human right. Thank you so much. I would like to once again thank Shiraz, Saz and Chintan, and of course Mr. Subhash, who joined us on the phone line and gave us his experiences of his visit in Pakistan. Javed sir, thank you so much for coming. And Reema Basi, it was a pleasure. It was an honor having you to talk about your book. And I'm sure many of us will be inspired to buy the book and learn more about our neighboring country. Thank you so much. The conversation continues on India Post Live through your posts and comments. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.